Hey everyone, Sergdor here with Remilio Gaming. I want to take a couple seconds to show you my current Scourge build. For those that are just here to take a look at the build, I'll leave this up. Go ahead and pause the video, mimic the skills. And then for those of you who are going to stick around, I'll go ahead and cover these. So currently I'm running Curses, Soul Reaping, and Scourge. So Curses here, I've got my first attack after Shroud transfers conditions. That's helpful because Plague Signet is taking the conditions from my allies. This just gives me another way to hopefully cleanse those and transfer those to the enemies. I've been running Terror for a little while now since I like to fear quite often, both with my staff and then with F4. So as I fear the enemies, they're going to be taking usually about 1,000 damage because most of those times we'll have extra conditions on them. Lastly in this category is the Parasitic Contagion. So my condition damage, 10% of that's going to heal me. So hopefully extending those longer fights and keeping me in the battle a little bit longer. Soul Reaping, Soul Marks makes it so my staff skills are unblockable. My marks that I lay down also grant Life Force. The more Life Force we get in battle, the more we're going to be damaging the enemies, and the more often that we can hopefully cast our Shade skills. Again, I'm a big fan of Vitality, so I went with Vital Persistence. Gives me a little bit extra vitality, a little bit reduced recharge time for those Shroud skills. Hopefully goes hand in hand with the extra life force I get from my marks. Dumbfire here. I've been kind of toying around with this one for the extra damage, but I'm also a fan of Foot in the Grave for the extra stability and stun break. Some of our skills require a little bit of extra time to cast, so as I enter Shroud, I'll kind of pair that with my Ghastly Breach or my Poison Cloud. That way they're not going to knock me down when I'm trying to cast those and kind of delay the damage that I'm putting out. Scourge, I'm a very team-oriented fighter in most of these battles, so I went with granting an ally a barrier. Is going to also remove some of those conditions and hopefully make it so I don't take as many conditions from my Plague Signet, so keeping me alive, and then the barrier and the might keeping my allies alive. Sadistic Searing, this one I went with for just pure damage and reduction in punishment skill recharge. Most of the skills we run are punishment skills, so the 20% recharge reduction is very helpful in that. And then lastly is the Sand Savant. One Sand Shade gives us all the abilities of our damage reduced and concentration, and also gives us a little bit extra range and hopefully makes it so it's not as easy to dodge. So skills and equipment we're using, Parent Amulet, again Vitality 900, gives me up to 30,000 health down here. Seems to be a big help lately. 26,000 that I was running before was very nice for those long battles, but this extra 30,000 just seems to keep me alive a little bit longer than usual. Rune of Scavenging, condition damage, vitality converted to condition damage, that kind of works hand in hand with a couple of the other skills we talked about, giving increased vitality. We're running the Scepter, Torch, Staff. Most of these are kind of up for your own personal playstyle. I went with Vulnerability, so the enemies take more damage as I do damage to them, and Might, so I deal additional damage as my Might is increased from some of my additional skills. Boon removal for those kind of tankier characters that are difficult to remove those boons. I went ahead here with boon removal, hopefully give me the advantage on those longer fights with the warriors and the guards. And lastly, Endurance. That's one of my own personal preferences there. I use a lot of endurance in the battle, and I find myself dodging quite often, so that's why I went ahead and selected that one. So down here to some of the skills we used. Sand Flare, pretty good team skill, gives me a barrier self-heal. Use it as often as I can in those fights, hopefully keep those around me alive and myself. Plague Signet's kind of a good one. I just started using it. Seems to be the norm now since so many classes stack those conditions on you. One thing to remember though, conditions usually come in waves. So the first wave of conditions, you might want to go ahead and use this one. I usually wait till I get a couple stacks of those conditions on me and I'm about half health before I go and transfer those to my enemy. Trail of Anguish is nice whether you're standing in the middle fighting or you need to get away. Stability and swiftness for 6 seconds, and then it's converting those boons into conditions, so as your warriors and your guards run along those, you got a better chance of hopefully damaging them over time. Slightly different from others, I've been running the Poison Corrosive Cloud. Mainly I run that for the block missiles, so usually your Deadeyes and your Rangers like to sit out there, shoot us from a distance, and as a Necro we're kind of a slower class, don't really have much to cover that ground, so with this, it gives me the ability to block those missiles in hopefully a couple seconds to close that ground and start damaging them before they kill us. And then lastly, right there in the middle of the battle, Ghastly Breach, it's going to convert any boons to conditions. For the duration of it, it's going to pulse every second. I think a total of 5 pulses there. And then just hopefully giving us the extra advantage with the might to damage those enemies there in the middle and hopefully hold that point as we need to. Well, I hope you liked the build. Go ahead and give us a like and a ding on the notification bell so you can keep updated with what's new and coming from Remilio Gaming, and hope to see you out there.